family has returned to India after visiting him in Lahore hospital. Sarabjit is in deep coma of Lahore's Jinnah hospital since a brutal attack in Kot Lakhpat jail. Sarabjit's wife, his two daughters and his sister. We are now joined by our correspondent from Jalandhar, Usha Pawar. Usha, what is the latest that you hear from the family? Now, what would be their next move?
Your family is very desperate and they are very unhappy and Pakistan with some hope, but they say they regret that nothing is being done by Pakistan and he is not being treated. They've come back to India with the hope that they'll be able to meet some leaders in Delhi and they'll find some way out so that something can be done for Sarabjit Singh. But the condition in which Sarabjit Singh is at the moment, he is in deep coma, still in deep coma. Since they went to Pakistan, his condition has further deteriorated and there is no improvement, never had any improvement noticed in Sarabjit Singh's condition. And the family is very, very unhappy. They are very, very desperate, and they are angry with Pakistan officials. And they say they say that nothing has been done on the health front, and even the officials of Kot Lakhpat jail were not suspended as was reported earlier, and they are very unhappy over that. And they hope to meet Indian leaders over here. They are planning to go to Delhi tomorrow to meet Sonia Gandhi and the Home Minister, Union Home Minister.
All right. Day is being observed today across the world to honor the contribution and sacrifices made by the working class, also known as May Day. The day celebrates. You can catch all the latest news from the world of politics, sports and business at DD News Twitter handle at DD News Live round the clock. And now here's a quick recap of the headlines at this hour. With that, we wrap up this bulletin. Up next is all the action in the world of sports and Khel Samachar with Nitesh. I'll take your leave. Namaskar. Namaskar and welcome to Midday News. Now let's quickly take you live to Shastri Bhavan where a press cabinet briefing is on right now. They're briefing the press, responding to a question on the passage of important bills in the current session of Parliament, specific reference to Finance Bill, Food Security Bill as well as Land Acquisition Bill. Chidambaram making government's position pretty clear, saying that there are 7 more working days left and government is ready to move the bill, ready to discuss the bill on the floor of the House and also to get these important bills passed in this current session, this current session of Parliament. And now let's quickly take a look at the other top stories we are following at this segment of Midday News at this hour. Quick headlines. Official sources say and over the top stories in detail. The health of Indian prisoner Sarabjit Singh has worsened overnight. Official sources have told PTI that Sarabjit has slipped into a non-reversible coma. His heart, however, continues to beat on its own. Earlier, Sarabjit's family returned to India after visiting him in Lahore hospital. Sarabjit is in deep coma of Lahore's Jinnah hospital since a brutal attack in Kot Lakhpat. And on that... on this story, now we are joined by our correspondent in Jalandhar, Usha Pawar. Usha, tell us more. First of all, you were present in that press briefing when Sarabjit's sister and daughter, in fact, talked about, especially about the fact that they're still hopeful that Sarabjit, if given a proper medical treatment, can bounce back to life.
The distraught family, when returned to India through Wagah border, Dalbir Kaur said that she knows that her brother is still alive, and she says that she countered the statements coming in the press that he's in the state of non-reversible coma. She says that is wrong, that is totally wrong. Her brother is still alive, and she told that when she touched him, he made a little movement. There was a movement of his fingers and slight movement in the eye, and she says that he's still alive, and she says she is going to call upon the Indian leaders and tell them to make pressure for the Pakistan government so that he can be brought over here in India, and his treatment should be done in India. She doesn't trust at all. She doesn't trust Pakistan authorities, and she doesn't trust doctors. She says doctors were not giving her a true picture, despite the fact that she met 5 times surgery during her stay in Pakistan. And she says that she's leaving for Delhi today itself, and she'll be there for 2 days and she'll try to talk to Sonia Gandhi and the Home Minister, the Foreign Minister, to tell them that they should do efforts to bring Sarabjit over here. And she says, and she feared that since she has come from Pakistan to India now.
That's more to the story. Now it's time for a very short commercial break. You stay tuned to DD News. I'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. You're watching Midday News. Moving on, the Supreme Court has commuted to life imprisonment the death sentence awarded to murder convict M.N. Das, the Mercy Jorhat Central Jail in Assam. And for more on that story, we have with us on phone lines senior criminal lawyer Majid Memon joining us. Thank you, Mr. Memon. Really pleasure talking to you, sir. First of all, your comments on the court's observation, especially on the fact that the death sentence has been commuted on the grounds of delay in disposal of mercy petition. How do you look at that?
Well, I think it is necessary for us to deserve, the grant of commutation from death to life imprisonment. But when Supreme Court examines such matters, Supreme Court also of course takes into consideration.
So draw the distinction because a distinction as far as Devinder Pal Singh Bullar's case is concerned and this particular case, the distinction between the two.
You see, it is difficult for me to comment because I have had no opportunity as yet to examine as to precisely what Supreme Court has said. But certainly each case would be different from another case for the reason that the facts and circumstances, the merits of the case, the length of delay, the accusations, the judgment awarding death penalty, all these facts, Supreme Court has a very vast, area which Supreme Court may consider, and then ultimately in its own wisdom and discretion comes to the final conclusion. And I think they thought it fit to commute this death sentence into life imprisonment.
So finally, for a better understanding, if you could also briefly explain the grounds on which mercy petitions can be accepted or rejected by the higher officers of President.
Well, as a matter of fact, the law of the land has been since, the consideration of mercy petitions of Afzal Guru and Ajmal Kasab, there has been a lot of debate nationwide on what are the considerations which are taken into account for the purposes of granting or refusing a mercy.
For talking to us and for your comments and observations as far as Supreme Court's commutation of death sentence of M.N. Das to life term. On that story, thank you, sir, for joining. And now let's slip into another short commercial break. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's get to some election-related news in Karnataka. Now, campaigning in favor of Congress candidates, Party Vice President Rahul Gandhi addressed an election rally in Hassan. The state goes to assembly polls on 5th of May. General Secretary Prakash Karat is in Karnataka today addressing a press conference in Bangalore. Karat said that main political parties of Karnataka have failed in giving a corruption-free government to the state. Approval to 839 new FM radio channels in 294 cities as part of the phase 3 of the extension of the FM radio program. Cabinet has also approved reduction in subsidy of phosphatic and potassic P&K fertilizers for the fiscal year 2013-14.
This is about
all the latest news from the world of politics, sports, business and much more at DD News Twitter handle at DD News Live round the clock. And now here's a quick recap of the top stories we are following at this hour. Official sources of this hour, and with that we wrap up this bulletin. But up next is Anil Thomas with all the action in the world of sports and sports news. Stay tuned. Namaskar. And welcome, I'm Sakal Bhatt. The top story at the SA. The health of Indian prisoner Sarabjit Singh has worsened overnight. Official sources have told news agency PTI that Sarabjit had non-reversible coma. His short family there, and meanwhile New Delhi has expressed concern over the worsening condition of Sarabjit Singh. Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Syed Akbaruddin has said that India has urged Pakistan to release Sarabjit on humanitarian and sympathetic grounds. In other news of the day, the Supreme Court has commuted to life imprisonment the death sentence awarded to murder convict M.N. Das. They would resolve the dispute through diplomatic means. And earlier, the third flag meeting between India and China yesterday failed to break the deadlock. The meeting took place in other news, Union Cabinet today gave approval to 839 new FM radio channels in 294 cities as part of its phase 3 of the extension of the